something happens a few months later. And it has to do with cooperation between Armenian and Assyrian volunteer forces and the Russian army in this obscure tract that leads the Turkish army to believe that an Armenian or a Christian revolt is happening. You may recognize this picture of General Antranik. He moves his volunteer brigade to Iran sometime in the fall of 1914. What most people don't realize is that in his Armenian brigade were also Assyrians. And there were local Assyrians organized in a local self-defense helped by Russians who gave them army surplus rifles but not cannons, not machine guns or the like, but they did get equipment. And the Turkish side did know about that. They knew about these self-defense being built up because around Christmas time, 1914, they managed to capture and kill one of the Russian vice consuls. His name was Iyas, and he was in the town of Salchbulak. And they came over a whole bundle of secret Russian documents having to do with how to arm these self-defense units, which he had on his person. I have seen these in the Ottoman archives because they were collected in a dossier because the Turks would like to annex this region, and so there was a long report made with these things as an appendix to it, showing the degree to which there was a cooperation here going on. But this was not just the only thing. Antranik manages, together with his volunteer brigades, to defeat a Turkish army. That is, a crack unit that is rushed up from Constantinople. If you will allow me, I'd like to read from the book. The leader of this unit was a general called Halil Bey, later known as Halil Pasha of Kut, the famous general who defeated the British at Kut al-Amara. So, aware that their makeshift forces were inadequate, the Turks were rushing reinforcements to western Azerbaijan. Lieutenant Colonel Halil Bey was sent with some elite units to command the occupation of Urmia. Until early December 1914, Halil served as military governor of Istanbul. Enver, and Halil, I should add, is the uncle of Enver. Enver then ordered him to form the 5th Expeditionary Force with an order to invade the Caucasus once they had come to Azerbaijan and to reach as far as Dagestan, if he could. These troops amounted to 248 officers, 10,920 soldiers, 6 machine guns, 12 mountain howitzers. This is what is in the Turkish military archives. They also came to include local gendarmes, 12,000 irregular Kurdish volunteers, And Halil, he knew this part of the world because he had been sent on as a secret agent there the year before, just to prepare the possibility of an expedition. Now, Halil's original plan was to take the Russians by surprise, he thinking that they didn't know that he was coming. However, by the time he arrived, the events in Van were already taking place. The siege of Van that began the 20th of April. And he's managing to get here in the middle of April. And he has to send some of his force to Van to help out the beleaguered Turks. He was badly mauled then, his force, in a battle near Dilman. So we're back to the same place about where the massacre of Haftavan has just occurred. Now, the Turkish Historical Archive sources give the losses for the Turkish army for the first day of battle of 15 officers, 453 soldiers dead, 28 officers and 1,200 soldiers wounded, and 370 missing in action. This is a terrible loss already on the first day. And we know that reports to the army, back to the field command and the high headquarters, usually underestimate the number of casualties. Those who were in the area said that it was more in the neighborhood of 5,000 casualties. And the Armenian and Assyrian volunteers under Antranik played the decisive role in repulsing the Turks. The Turks managed to whip the Russian forces, but Antranik, and there is a book out there in the bookstore that describes just this little episode, managed through a superhuman motivation to stop the Turkish army. Now, Halil wrote his memoirs, and he never said a word about the defeat in Dilman, of course. He just said he had to disengage, unfortunately, from Iran and pull back because there was something going on in Van. He had to help out. Which was strange, at any rate, we think. But he blamed his defeat on the Armenians. And with that he must have meant also the Assyrians, if he knew that the Assyrians were participating in these units. Now, he followed the example of Jevdit, the valley of Van, and executed his Armenian officers and soldiers and medical personnel that he had with him in the expeditionary force.